Brother Michael with us today is March 24th, um, and we're reading pages 141 to 140 to 144. So today we have co-hosting with us Brother Michael, um, a fellow of mine who we involved in a few different works. He worked with me at Repair Nations, as well as we have a collective together called Raw Soul Collective, where we help influence the culture to be more healthy by giving food and doing health oriented events and creating art and music and are using our creativity, man, to spark a healing in our community. So this brother is a vegan chef and super down to earth and super tapped in with a lot of different movements right now. So yeah, we happy to have you with us today, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, good brother. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's likewise for my good brother Ajman. Like you said, be involved in a few works and got a chance to travel with this brother in 2019 in Ghana, and really sparked just a divine, even tighter connection with the brother. And also we've been involved in the Determination Black Men's Group. So we've been cultivating a great relationship, but also been cultivating along with these works we've been doing with helping to learn our history, but also provide information about our history to our people. So I'm just happy to be on this line, be able to read this book and be able to pass this on to our people today. So yeah, thanks to you, brother, for putting this work in.
Exactly, we putting that work in, man, and I always thank everybody that come through because I really look at this group as special, man. Like, folks that participate in organizations that require you to put in work and thought, to be present in this however short amount of time. You could be doing anything with your time right now. You could be, consuming meaningless media. You could be, eating some junk food. You could be, doing whatever. And I appreciate you guys just like being here present and ready to invest your time, right? Because that's the most valuable asset. It's free to show up, but your time, actually, you are contributing that, because you can't get that back. So I don't take it lightly, you know what I'm saying? So thank everyone for being here. And so I wanted to, we've been talking about people assemblies and Jackson Rising, Jackson Rising. Um, we actually talking about going out to Mississippi in a few months as an organization. I'm looking forward to that so we could really like get some firsthand accounts of their progress since they began. We got to meet them in Africa when we all went, and really solid people, soulful people that are a part of this organization. And so we've been learning about people's assemblies, and we talked about the different types a couple days ago, right? The United Front, the Constituent Assembly, the Mass Assembly, you know, um, and we talked about how we're kind of a mixture of the United Front and the Constituent Assembly, because we are a representation of our own communities, but we are also like we're self-organized. We're not necessarily representing our community in an official political sense, right? But it goes hand in hand because this group has the potential to make great change in our communities. Um, and then we have mass assemblies, which are like complete gatherings of a mass of people for a specific moment in time, right? Like the George Floyd, um, when he died and how the world responded. That's a mass assembly. And then we have the functions of a people's assembly, right? To organize and to apply pressure, right? Um, or another way to say it is to resist the status quo, because it's not in favor of the people's assembly, right? When laws aren't in our favor, when businesses aren't treating us right, we can come together and push back, And so here are some key components of, excuse me, here are some ways that you carry out functions of a people's assembly. So, in order to carry out these critical functions, an assembly must organize its proceedings to produce clear demands, a coherent strategy, realistic action plans, and concrete timelines. Right? So, part of our goal, Michael, a part of this book club is to create a list of needs in our communities that we want to address, right? So we're starting this process of creating the demands, and then, if we want to take it further, we can spend time developing a strategy on how we can, make some of these things come to life, like some of our cooperative ideas, like the gas club, or the gas buying club, the food buying club, you know, um, different things like that. So that's Jackson Rising. So let's get into Collective Courage 140. Brother, did you want to start us off? Right at Consumers Cooperative Trading Company.
Yeah, y'all can start us off. Can you hear me pretty good?
You good?
Okay. In the fall of 1932, in Gary, Indiana, was ravaged by depression. Its steel mills closed and only one bank remained. Though also closed eventually, as noted in Chapter 4, Jacob Riddick held a meeting in Roosevelt High School, which led to the formation of Gary's Consumers Cooperative Trading Company. Starting with a buying club, the trading company went on to operate in a main grocery store, a branch store, a filling station, and a credit union. By employed 7 full-time workers in the grocery store, the credit union was organized in November 1934. By February 1936, it had more than 100 members and $700 on a deposit. The first dividend of 2% of shares of stock owned was paid to members in December 1935. In 1936, sales for the organization stood at 160,000, and the company was considered the largest grocery business operated by Negroes in the United States. The Cooperative Trading Company had a women's guild that developed out of early study group organized by the founders and supported a young people's branch that operated its own ice cream parlor and candy store. So yeah, keep going. In addition to his remarks about this important role of the woman in um, invigorating the co-op, Reddix is quoted as saying the most important single factor in the co-op's progress has been our education program. As discussed in Chapter 4, the co-op held weekly educational meetings for 18 months before opening any of the businesses. In 1933, it instituted a cooperative course in the Roosevelt High School evening school, which by 1936 was the largest academic class in the school. The academic class in the school. In 1934, the Education Committee published a 5-year plan titled Uplifting the Social and the Economic Status of the Negro in Gary.
So I wanted to go back a little bit to where they're talking about the Gary's Consumers Trading Cooperative, or the Gary's Consumers Cooperative Trading Company. That's a
Yeah.
mouthful. The sales in 1936 was 160,000, right? And it was the largest grocery store business operated by Negroes in the United States. So I did the inflation calculator.
Hmm.
By today's standards, wait, hold on, let me make sure I got the year right. 1936. By today's standard, that would be 3,265,795 dollars.
That was good
So
business. It was doing good, yes.
they they was getting money. They was getting money. Now that's just that's amazing. 160,000 seems seems small, but when you really put it in context of where we are now with inflation, they were doing all right. And I'm trying to see how many employees they had. But you know what? It doesn't say. Oh, with 400 members and employs 7 full-time workers. Wow. So I mean, that's a good revenue. I would imagine they're paying their workers living wage. You know what I'm saying? And they're returning some of that back to the members. So, man,
Hmm.
that's amazing. So think about that. Like if you were a part of something, I mean, because 7 people, 7 employees is a mid-sized operation. So to be making $4 million, you know what I'm saying? At this rate, like you're able to not only pay your employees, give some back to the members, but also have a surplus. You know what I'm saying? And man, that's just how you feel about that, brother. Like, does that inspire you in any way?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely inspiring. Especially you saying this coming from being a worker owner at Modelo's Grocery Cooperative. I see that same platform and model kind of what we're working towards. Like every year we're talking about, the differences of the output and income that we're putting in. And yeah, every day it's a steady business that we can model. And it's also, the Deep East Grocery Co-op, they're getting ready to open up and facilitate a similar operation in East Oakland. So yeah, these models are starting to pop back up. It looked like, and people are hopping on board. So yeah, I guess, yeah, folks want more information, yeah, Pair Nations and all the other cooperative organizations are here to support that. If people want to get involved and, do their own thing.
Exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, I didn't mention that in the top of the book club, but yeah, this brother worked at a cooperative for a number of years and has full knowledge of what that's like firsthand. Um, so definitely, definitely would love to hear more about that in relation to more of the reading as we go forward. In addition, where were you? Okay, again, many in the same themes, missions and goals are mirrored in this example. Every organization found education to be one of the most important elements of in the endeavor. The Gary Cooperative actually integrated cooperative education into the high school's night school curriculum. This cooperative society was responding to a need in the community, particularly an economic need. The Gary Cooperative also went further than most by establishing a gas station and a credit union, both to worldwide financial services and to help members save money, and institutionalizing its education program. Like the others, this cooperative also saw the equal inclusion of youth as important and had strong women's leadership. All right. I love that they said most important single factor in the co-op's progress was their education program. So they added it to the high school. Like that's what we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Like how do we, get that influx of people into cooperatives at an earlier age, like how we had workshop, wood shop class and metal shop class. Like, how do we have co-op class? Like to even, because if that's an option, if you start something in your neighborhood and you're able to sustain that up until your early 30s, from high school, like you've started a career for yourself, right? And so cooperatives, if you're able to maybe intern and be a part of something and then start your own, like who knows, geniuses come out of high school, and you just get into being a young adult and you get distracted, if you don't have opportunities. And I'm speaking firsthand. I know just how it is coming out of high school, just like, man, not really knowing what you want to do. And yeah, you might go to JC, but like, man, like having somewhere where you can go and just make some money that's decent and maybe be in a track to learn how to make more at right out of high school, those opportunities are far and few between, and hopefully we can get more of those. The Gary Cooperative, excuse me, the Red Circle Cooperative Association. The Red Circle Cooperative was also mentioned in Baker's 1941 memo. Rosenberg. provides more details about the cooperative and its origins. A Mr. E.R. Stores had the idea to form a consumers cooperative in 1927, but the idea did not take until the executive secretary of the Richmond Urban League spoke in 1937 about the cooperative movement and used a consumers cooperative trading company in Gary as an example. After a call for potential co-op members, 35 men out of 100 contacted responded and met on June 17, 1937. The group discussed the cooperative movement and then agreed to start the Red Circle Association. Red Circle Cooperative Association. The membership fee was $1 per member. The cooperative launched a campaign for more members and stock subscriptions, as well as an education drive with monthly meetings. By the end of 1937, Red Circle had 125 members and had collected $1,200. You know what I'm saying? That's well over $24,000 today. You know, or well over $20,000 today. Executives went to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Greenbelt, Maryland, inspecting cooperative stores and getting ideas and plans of organization and operation. They reported back to the board. The decision was made for the cooperative to open a grocery store that would sell meat. The store opened its doors on October 11, 1938, in the heart of the old Jackson Ward, directly across the street from a unit of the largest chain store in the United States, which had refused to hire Negro clerks. Uh, see, let's look at karma. They didn't want to hire them, and so a black store was like, "Cool, we about to pop
Yeah,
up right across the street. Let's see how this works out."
exactly.
Yep. Sales that
Yeah,
first day were $350. One result of the grocery store's success was that 3 months after it opened, the chain store across the street hired its first black employee and started a price war.
uh,
Red Circle was able to obtain goods from a wholesaler whose prices were low enough that the co-op could compete with the chain store. The chain store actually ended up reducing its staff by two, keeping only the manager. Red Circle had four regular employees. Uh, see,
yeah.
you see how they played a game that they really couldn't win in that instance.
And I just want to highlight just from the very beginning at the part where it said the membership fee was $1 per member, and Rare Circle Cooperative Association Inc. You know, they built off that $1 per member. You know what I'm saying? From there, it said they were able to have education drives, monthly meetings. You know, just by starting off with $1, they was able to build off the monthly meetings and collect $1,200. And then from there, start to organize and operate their grocery store. And they was doing this unintentionally as far as what, all the other stuff that happened. They was just being prepared as a
Mm-hmm.
people. I want to say that as we be more prepared as a people to have certain situations, no matter what comes up, we can always, have a solution. So this preparedness and readiness, and these people come together with $1 for a person and making it happen. And it don't take a lot of money. Like a lot of people think we have to spend a lot of money to be a part of a cooperative collective or even start a business, but they did it with $1. And a lot of people pay for prescriptions every month. So, many different services. We can do it in a cooperative collective way too, and raise funds and start organizations, businesses, whatever we want to. But I just want to encourage that part right there, because that was powerful.
I was deep. I was
Yeah,
real deep, man. Um, and by 1940, the Red Circle Cooperative had 400 members and weekly business of $700 and employed a manager, two clerks, and a delivery boy. In 1939, 100,000 customers were served and a 1% dividend was paid on purchases. The total capital invested was $2,000 and the store earned a profit of $600 or net earnings of 30%. A committee looked into organizing a credit union, service station, and second grocery store. Despite low expectations, the Cooperative Association was a huge success, proving that a black managed store could succeed. as Rosenberg observed.
You swear up and down, I fucked his brother. Just because that nigga wanted to fuck me, nigga, that don't mean shit. I ain't
Xavier,
typing.
you
The
gotta
furthest I
pause
go
the
is fucking
video.
your friend.
You gotta mute your voice.
That's still too far. Only because
Video,
he's
sorry.
pretty sure he probably. Well, maybe it's
Xavier, you gotta mute your voice.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Um, when the invincible force of cooperation met the immovable mountain of prejudice, fear, ignorance, and lack of self-confidence, the mountain melted into thin air. The invincible force forged ahead and growing by leaps and bounds. And the Red Circle Cooperative idea of 2 years ago is reality today. Rosenberg attributed its success to the hard work of members, shareholders, and workers. Like you said, they were prepared, as well as to the store's efficient service and management. He also noted that the organization was built from the bottom up and not from the top down. Another reason for its success. In addition, members did their homework in terms of studying co-op models, even traveling to several places around the country to see other co-ops. They never stopped studying and organizing to increase efficiency. Certainly, it was a tremendous feat to stare down a local chain grocer and prevail. Rosenberg went so far as to predict that its success might revolutionize the South. Man, like you said, they was prepared. They did their homework. They went to other co-ops, asked questions. You know, that's one way that you learn. Like, find somebody to model after, and then try it and see. You know, get advice. And they went and did their homework. And man, that's just so inspiring. Like it really is just a matter of being serious and locked in with what the goal is, and then just covering a wide base of like, how do I make sure I'm solid? And this other grocer wasn't solid. Like, they thought they could, play games with, you know um, being racially motivated and business orientated, but the two don't really go together. You know what I'm saying? And you have some instances, in my opinion, you have some instances where you have people who are in high places and they have business and they have racial prejudices, but you notice, like, today's standard, they don't really like to let that come out, because they know that people are going to have an effect of that. That's going to affect their bottom line to some degree. Like, maybe not Gucci. They did what they did, and folks still buying them. You know what I'm saying? So, but the point is, some people stopped, and in these days, it was like, look, we ain't got no choice. Y'all are not just saying we won't body y'all. Like, there's probably violence that goes along with that, and bullying. So we like, look, we just gonna start our own. So out of a necessity of having to start your own, they became a success. But they took it seriously, and they did the steps. They followed a formula, and they didn't have a formula. The opposition, they didn't have a formula. They just said, look, we're gonna mix, our faux, or what do they call it, morality, our sus morality, and business together, and we're just gonna try to exclude these whole other people when they, you know now but then they want to go back and say, oh, we're gonna now hire a black person to like try to look a certain way. So it's optics, and customers sense that authenticity, bro. Like, the people, I'm sure, felt a certain way walking into the red red circle cooperative versus the chain grocer, right? Like, customer service matters. How was customer service a factor in your work at Mandela, Michael?
I would say, like you said, customer service matter, and representation of your store and your business matters too. And it don't matter about the race or color and none of that stuff. But we just so happen to be you know majority owned and all black, or all people of color grocery store, but nobody discriminated against us, or nobody came in and said anything of that. They didn't want to shop with us because what we look like. We present ourselves, as always, well, and we offer a great service. And as long as you're doing that, people will come, spend with you as a community. And if it's, particularly, your nation of people who wants to come shop with you and support you, that's always a beautiful thing, because you want our people and you want your people to support you. And, if you have other nations of people that come, and support you too as well, you don't discriminate, because we all here as a people on this earth, and we all come from the same source, and we come from the same people. So, at the end of the day, we got to learn how to work with each other outside of just, race and color and stuff. Most people go to the big chain stores, I believe, because it's very organized, it's highly, you know, invested into, so it looks nice. But once you get there, a lot of time the customer service don't be the best, But smaller mom and pop shops that may not have the most investment, but they have great customer service, a great character, and they provide a good service, they'll be more successful over time because they can continue to grow for years. That chain store might be there for a year or two, and they got to close down and go into another place. But it's like you in a community and you doing a good service for that community, they definitely will love and appreciate you. So that's what I got from my experience.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like people want to go where they feel good. Like they don't want to feel the, or they'll make that sacrifice, like you said, and deal with the lack of customer service if it is organized a certain way. But you know what I'm saying? Like what happened with this other organization that was against the Red Circle, not only did they lose because of them not really having a culture that was their foundation, they also lost because their competition started to be more organized than they were. So they had a loose foundation from the jump, on two aspects. On the aspect of um, on the aspect of people coming to the store and feeling unwelcome, but also in the business aspect because they lost like members, and they didn't have a plan for like how they downsize and make it more. They only downsize to the manager. So yeah, one person in the store. So imagine people coming in to your store and they're like, "Look, man, I'm trying to get in and out, and you taking forever with this customer. I need help." Okay, right across the street, they booming. So
Right,
you gotta. They should have, and I'm sure they weren't cooperatively ran, right? So that's the other thing too. So that they probably just cut people like, look, bam, rather than having people who are bought in and we're like, look, okay, I might take a cut, but I don't have to get fired. You know what I'm saying? And so, and they had a delivery boy at the Red Circle. See, they was thinking ahead. That's customer service on another level. Like, no, we gonna come to you. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And I bet that delivery boy's getting tipped a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like just for the love. And see, that's a good position for a young person to come into. You come in straight out of high school, and you're like, look, I'm gonna be a delivery boy for this co-op, grocery store, and you can kind of start to learn how things move, and you learning the customers, and you might move up, and now you got a trajectory for your life. Rather than across the street, they just gonna pay you $4.25, and they don't care about you. You know
And
what I'm saying? So man, it's a trip. It's a trip. It's a trip. And another thing, bro, I like how you also brought up like the stores being organized and invested into the big chains.
yes,
They put a lot of money into the psychology of their stores. So there's a reason why when you walk into a Target, you dang near know where everything is already, even if you've never been in that Target. Cause they have it in a certain way. There's a floor plan that's actually studied on like psychology, and like they use psychology to put things in certain places and certain levels so they can get you to buy into it. They put the candy and the kids stuff right by the register because they know while you in line, the kids is like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that, I want this, I want this, and you gonna lose your patience. Like, just get it, just get it. You know what I'm saying? Because if they put it back over there before you got to the line, you could just move past it. Like, nah, we're not getting that
right.
today, Junior. You know what I'm saying? But you in the line, and the
Put it
kids'
down low.
patience, huh?
I said they put it down low where you can grab it at and everything for the kids.
Everything, bro. So it's like they thinking 10 steps ahead because they had the money to hire the psychologist and the what I'm saying, how to optimize this space that you have. So that was just I remember learning about that and just thinking, dang, they really go deep. Like they really want your money. They want you to leave out of there with less money than you came out in there with.
Yes.
So, yeah, for sure, man. All right, y'all. So, we got time. This was a great conversation. Give thanks, Michael, for sliding through.
Oh,
And
for sure.
you got any last words for the people?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to coming back to the book club next week. Yeah, we appreciate everybody who came through and supported these works you're doing right now with Prepared Nations. But as the book was speaking about, and as the works we're doing, all about collective cooperatives coming together. And right now is a great time to come together. So if you have any inspirations, keep studying cooperatives and collectives. It's a great education. The Collective Courage is a great manual, as far as getting involved and getting some information. And yeah, I've been looking to learn more myself too as well. But yeah, Raw Soul Collective. Check us out online. Raw Soul Collective on Instagram. Also, we have a website where we have some products on there, constantly updating and providing health and wellness to the. So thanks.
All right, peace and love, y'all.
All right, peace and light.
Adios.
Bye, everyone.